Okay, and so just like to take a look at the minutes from the meeting of June the 6th. Has anybody or everybody had a chance to look at them a little bit and see what we have here? Anybody have any corrections that they would like to make or comments? I just have one under the approval of the minutes of the May the 2nd. Irene, did you make that motion?
I did.
Oh, you did, okay, all right. And then I just had one comment on page 2, under the Tourism Committee, about the summer music and the steam train. Mr. Kasner advised that he had received a request from the Essex Steam Train and Riverboat Management to dock at the Lady Catherine. That wasn't a request. That was basically just looking for comment, I would say, because obviously they don't need any permission from us to tie the Lady Catherine up on the Haddam side. That's their dock. And but they were looking basically for comment from us and whether we thought it was a good idea or a bad idea, and that's what I brought before the board. And basically our consensus is let's give it a try and see how it works out. And they were just going to do it once. They were going to basically do it by kind of an invitation almost, and see if people felt like they could hear the music, and was it going to be something they thought was working, and then they were looking for comment from the people that they invited. So
have they done that yet?
no, haven't done
That's
it
what I
yet,
thought.
and so I think that the next meeting of the five-town committee, that'll be one of the things on the agenda. It'll probably be the last music on the river when they do it. And,
I think the meeting that we're meeting, the 22nd, is after the last meeting, after the last concert.
oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll give her a call then and just double check on that.
Yeah.
The plan is that they would dock on this side of the river?
No, they were gonna dock on their own
Stay
side.
over there.
Yeah.
Just,
Just basically, so they would be working off of their parking lot, but they wanted to ask whether we thought it was any kind of a conflict, if they had people that, obviously we have people park in that parking lot over there and then they bus them over. And so I think they were just kind of giving us a heads up and just asking for comment, which I thought was nice of them to say, we'd like your comment before we do it. And since we're kind of participating in the East Haddam's music. And so that, it was all very nice. I let them know that, that we, we're perfectly open to it and give it a try. So we'll kind of just see, where it goes. But, and I didn't see anything else that hit me. Anybody else have any comments on the minutes?
no.
Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay.
second it.
Second, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, they can move on. Just wanted to give you a little update on the Goodspeed Landing. Basically, that's the revitalization group is working on that, and they're now in the process of getting the basically a proposal from the applicant, and they have until I think the end of the month. Emmett, is it?
We met with Jeff this morning,
Oh, you did. Okay.
and the RFP is actually pretty much complete.
Okay.
Rich Roberts looked at it, came up with a couple of things, minor things,
Yep.
for changes, and then we got together with Jeff, basically looking for a schedule that works for him.
Yeah.
And we knew we were gonna expand that schedule.
Yep.
And we worked up one, I think it's gonna look pretty good.
Oh, good. Okay.
And so we're gonna get that together, and we should have an RFP ready the next meeting,
Okay.
and move that forward.
Okay.
Selectment meeting?
No, this is the
Revitalization group, and so this will go
They
through.
have to issue the RFP, that's their baby.
Okay. Okay, then, and I think that, you know, it's moving along, and so hopefully we can get that RFP out and get that rolling, and especially if we're working on dates that are agreeable to everybody, that makes it,
That was the big thing, was getting the dates together.
yeah, and get it so that it, obviously it works for the applicant here, because we want to make sure that whatever we're putting out is going to work. And
The other side of it too is we gotta dodge around elections that are coming up. We gotta, and people who are brand new, getting them familiarized. And we're going into budget season, so there's a whole bunch of things to
yeah,
dovetail in there.
yeah, and wiggle around through that area, and but no, I just think that that's real exciting stuff, and from some of the conversations and what has come up at the revitalization committees, it's really exciting program and or proposal that he's going to be throwing on the table here. So I think that when we do actually get it, I think everybody will be pretty happy with seeing something going on down in the village here, and very optimistic kind of a look to it, I think. So so we'll see what comes from it, and hopefully in a couple of meetings we'll have some kind of idea as to what they'll be proposing here. The next thing is the building department on the fee schedule. Have you got that put together, or?
It's pretty well put together now. Bill is going to be at the next selectmen's meeting.
Mhm.
We're gonna present that. We have a lot of supporting information. And he did a real thorough job on it. What I intend to do is bring it forth, give the selectmen 2 weeks following that to look at it. Hopefully in the next meeting, the 21st, we will.
Okay, 21st is a vote, and
7th is a presentation, and
7th. Okay.
give them all the supporting information, and give everybody a chance to take a look at it and draw their own conclusions on it.
Good. All right. And would Bill be presenting it, or you were going to present it
I'll probably present it, and then he'll be available
for comment?
because he knows far better than I what's going on.
Okay. Yeah.
Great, thanks for
Okay.
looking at that.
Yeah. Let's take so I think on the 7th, then we'll definitely attend that meeting and see what the presentation is. And I think that would be a very positive thing for her to do.
And where's that meeting
I
held?
think he's done a good job, so I think he'll be impressed.
Good. Good. Okay. Where is that held? In this room?
Right here,
Right here.
I'll be sitting where you are.
Right where Steve's is.
Taking your seat.
Your seat right there.
Over here, and Sue will be over there.
All right. We have a familiar area, huh?
We'll all be on TV.
Oh, all right, all right. Selectmen's update, would you like to bring us up to date on anything that's going on in your office, or?
Transfer station, looking at what was going on, we're up there, we're about to reverse everything. And I went up there and talked to the guys, and they said, hold everything. That this is incredibly dangerous. I went up there, I drove it backwards.
Mhm.
If we take that whole bulbous nose or whatever it is, for the guys park,
Yep.
and you kind of drop down behind and come out and remove that, we might make it safe. But you have to realize that we have 3 guys working there.
Yeah.
They average about 40 days a year off each. That's how the contract works, and when you start adding up what the average employee somewhere gets, it's not far off.
Mhm.
What you find is that you've got 2 guys up there an awful lot of the time. Probably half to 2/3 of the time, 2 guys that are up there. We've got 1 guy down in the scales right now, full-time. I'll tell you, that's work.
Okay.
And we had 2 big complaints that we wanted to address. One was the people were getting in and we weren't getting paid for the stuff that's going down and back.
Right.
Well, now everybody goes over the scale to get in there.
Yep.
We've got a guy in there and we're watching. We can identify what's going in, where it belongs. And we've gone up to about 60% of what is going back there is being paid for.
Yeah.
When you add in the evictions, which we end up swallowing.
Yep.
The stuff from the school, believe it or not, rain, that's a big issue. We're struggling to figure out how to cover those things. We thought we had an answer isn't working quite the way, or didn't work out as we had hoped.
Yep.
But we're still looking, and
Yep.
it's expensive to go up the answer. 60% is probably, we're getting virtually everything that we should be paid for.
Yeah, yeah.
So we covered that side of it.
Yep.
The second one was having people get in there who didn't belong. And I talked to the guys and they really said, look, we can't safely do this, we're gonna get people hurt if we bring them in the other way. I said, I'll make a deal. Get the goddamn stickers working. Get on the stick and make them work. They're running out of stickers now.
Great.
They talked to me already about ordering more stickers.
Stickers, yeah.
And I went on beyond that and I said, you look at Facebook, people are challenging each other to sneak in here. You people that are legal, sneak in without a sticker and get out. And I said,
You'll get them.
get them.
Yeah.
I said, you do a good job of that, turn that around. I'll leave it the way it is.
Yep, yep.
That's where we're operating right now.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt. I mean, I see it going to back, out in the back in bulkier waste. I mean, it certainly, there's somebody in the scale house. They're definitely collecting the money. I don't see where you could be losing a lot now. And so I think that it would certainly appear. And even, what goes over the scale, if it's evictions or whatever, we can still know the tonnage is going in there.
And the key is with two guys there,
Yeah.
to safely have people coming in from that lower end, you'd have to have one there just monitoring and taking care of traffic.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you that, we just can't do that with two guys. With three guys, we can probably do it. The East Haddam News, I said essentially the same thing.
Yep.
And said we'd have to hire a fourth guy, it's gonna cost us, so he announces that I'm in favor of that, I'm not. I don't want anybody to think I am.
Yeah.
I'd rather stay with the staff we've got and make it work. And I
Yeah.
think we're onto a way to make it work.
I was going to say, and the dollars that you're going to pull in are not going to cover a man. I mean, it's even tough to cover what you got.
Bring a guy on board, but then round number, plus or minus, I say $100,000.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Sure. By the time you get their benefits, their salary benefits and everything,
The
yeah,
whole package,
Yeah.
will never generate that kind of money.
yeah. And-
I can't justify doing that, so I've got to find a better answer. I think we're on to one.
Yeah, no, I think and getting the stickers so that then everybody can see that you're a resident of town. And when I go in there, Don was over there pushing stickers.
I put together, I promised back for the Celebrate East Haddam to have a display.
Yep.
I probably get that done.
Oh.
It's up there now, a big A-frame, 8 feet long, covered with information, slots where you pick up pamphlets and stuff, sample containers under it.
Oh, good.
It's a pretty good display, and it was getting a real good response while I was putting it up.
Oh.
So
Now, where is it up there? I didn't see it yet.
it's right there next to the hopper.
Oh,
And
okay.
I just put it up last weekend,
Oh, okay.
so.
Yeah.
And, of course, when it gets rained out, it's gonna wipe everything out, but there is a cover if they're willing to put it over it.
Yeah, okay, well, that's good.
Come take a look at it.
Yeah, yeah.
I have been getting a very good response to it. Now, a lot of people, they just don't understand how to recycle, what's recyclable.
What's recyclable?
What is it?
Yeah.
It's amazing, while I'm standing there putting this together, people come, oh, I can't do it, yeah,
Well, you don't know, the weight of the plastic and this one is recyclable, that one isn't recyclable.
It differs everywhere you go.
Mhm.
You go over to Mira, you can't recycle black plastic.
Yeah,
You don't
okay.
want any black, hard plastic or any of it.
Wow,
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Over here, we do.
wow. Huh.
And
I'm sure it's whoever they're selling it to. I mean, that's where it goes.
wherever it's going.
It's all the third market where it's going to, and so, so, yeah, and that's what makes it difficult. Where one town is one product and the next town's another product. Wow, it's hard enough to go with the weight and everything else here. So,
And on another token, or another subject at the transfer station, we're up for renewal of contracts with Willimantic Waste.
Yeah.
And we're reviewing that, we'll be reviewing some of that this coming Wednesday as well. Rob's got some questions about it that he raised that we're gonna address. And I've got some questions of my own that need to be addressed.
yeah,
And I'm not sure anybody fully understands what's in that contract.
right,
It's been around a long time, and I think everybody's kind of forgotten.
yeah, So does this go out to bid, this contract?
We went out and looked for bidders,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
They remain very much ahead of everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Mirror did come back with,
No,
they didn't,
Not Mirror.
okay. Yeah.
I talked to Mirror about it, and they're sky high.
Mhm.
They had their turbines blow out, last fall?
They had more problems 2 weeks ago.
Oh, did they again? Well, they had everything down, and they were getting rid of stuff wherever they could. Well, they tacked all that cost on, and their prices have gone through the roof.
Yeah, well, they went up 15%.
Yeah.
And so, but no, they had one of the turbines down again. And they said, you know, it could be fixed in a
They
week.
just rebuilt those turbines.
Yeah, but something went on it, and but it was something that can be done in a week, not like 2 months like the other one.
They don't need any more trouble.
Well, it's an old plant, and they were saying how old that plant is, and so they've got to expect that they're going to have problems there, because it was quite an article in the Hartford Current, and talking about how old that plant is.
Well, and then the future is getting real iffy in terms of where it's going, who's gonna be running it,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Yeah.
state is getting thick about it. They, get your act together and get something going here, guys.
Well, and it's also tough to know what to do with all the recyclables. That's that third market to where the recyclable is going to go.
You know,
And
Europe has a wonderful system. You prepay. We do it right now with mattresses, with TVs. And when you buy it, you pay a little premium, but the disposal is built into the price you pay. And Europe has adopted that broadly all over the place.
but they have the same problem. Where's it going to go? You know, you can collect any fee you want, but where's it going to go?
But the fee pays for the disposal. I mean, that's all pre-planned. It's built into it. And I've talked to people at Hartford about that, and it's a great idea. We've done a little bit of it. Some of the other states have done a lot more. We're not sure that it's ever going to really get moving here. But I think it's probably one of the best answers. And right now, you take a television there, somebody comes and picks it up, and away it goes.
Yeah.
And it's disposed of. You prepay for that.
Yeah.
You bought it.
Yeah. No, I mean, and you know, that's reasonable, but there's still not a market for the plastics.
That's coming around. It may take a while. Once again, talking to people about that. And we are developing an in-house market, believe it or not, driven by the Chinese.
Yeah.
They're coming in here and buying up closed down plants for recycling stuff. And they're gonna create pellets of plastic and ship them to China. Now they're 97.5% clean.
Yeah.
And it'll come back to us as another item.
There was in the New York Times where they were talking about Indonesia. Did you see that article? And Indonesia was, since China wasn't taking all the recyclables, they were shipping them all to Indonesia. And so then they had the same thing. They said there's so much impurities in here. It was like 30% were as impurities. And they said that we're going to send it back to Great Britain and they can have it all back
I
again.
heard about that one. You know, one of the things up at the transfer station, talking to people, with my own daughter, that telling them about washing before you put it in. You get the food out of it, whatever it is, the residue.
Right.
You mean I can't just throw it in there?
Oh, with all the dirt?
And the question is, what do I do about peanut butter? I said, it's easy.
Hot water.
Oh, you throw a little bit of soap in there, fill it with water, let it sit overnight, shake it in the morning, and it comes clean. It's easy. It doesn't have to be a tough thing.
You don't got to put it through the dishwasher.
People were under the impression you could just chuck that peanut butter jar in there with the residue, and it was okay.
Yeah, and of course it's dirty, and so that's what's problem with all
And
the.
that was what they were complaining about.
Yeah, and well, if 30% of it was coming through
But
impure.
you want the reality of that. The dirty, they were happy to get it and deal with it because they could do that.
Oh, yeah.
Until they've started generating so much of their own trash.
Yeah.
And now they can pretty well supply their system
With what they're on.
residue and recyclables.
Yeah.
They don't really need ours anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, we primed the system, but hey guys.
Yeah, they don't need the quantity that.
My nephew up in Juneau, Alaska, who worked for Public Works. And one of his jobs was to go out in the boonies and find places to bury the nicely sorted recyclable material,
Yeah.
just in case somebody ever wanted it.
Oh, gee, yeah, oh, in case. Okay, I don't know how long that may be before somebody
I
wants.
think they're still doing it up there.
Really, okay. I'm not gonna take and wait for them to go out and dig that up again out there. I think we're producing enough every day. But, anybody have any thoughts or questions or anything else? And, all right, we've been looking at the tax incentive, program a little bit. I think that, Irene, maybe,
Yeah,
you
well,
wanna-
Emmett actually had brought up the idea of, what programs we have, what programs we've been, talking about in East Haddam as far as what's on our website, and those programs are still there. And there's quite a number of other, programs that are available, and they're very specific to a particular situation. So if somebody's rehabbing an old building, or if somebody's, hiring, X amount of new employees or things like that. So it really is very, dependent on each individual business is what they're doing. But there's state programs, there's local programs, and I was able to pull together a pretty good comprehensive list of some of these. And again, going around and talking to the businesses, depending on what their situation is, indignant of what they're doing, then we can express, hey, we should take a look at this and take advantage of it. Currently, the grant situation from the state is a little shaky, but we'll, see what's going on there as far as all that money. So we'll see what we can get people qualified for, depending on what their situation was. For example, I was actually over at Bev and Bell's. I know that's not in our town, but they're actually acquiring another Bell company and moving them from, I think they're in Texas or Arizona, and they're bringing them actually to Marlboro, because their manufacturing process is a little different, and they're also busting at the seams in East Hampton. But the point being is that could be something that she could qualify for to help that scenario. So those are the kinds of things that's what we're looking for. So if you hear of any expansion, or you hear of people, looking to hire or retrain people, those kinds of things, those are the kinds of things that we look for and see how we can fit them into a particular grant or program. A lot of the programs are really loans, so that, and you can get a small business loan anywhere, but occasionally there's a couple of things in here in this pretty comprehensive list that we pulled together. But again, it's dependent on what they're actually doing. So if you hear of anybody doing anything, to expand their businesses, or you hear of anybody having problems, let me know, and I can kind of see if we can pigeonhole them into one of these things and try and get them.
Okay, so for some small businesses, there's some, especially renovation of some kind that might be.
It's actually interesting. They have ones that are historic structure rehab things.
And who is that through? Where does that go through the rehab?
These are through Connecticut general statutes, the historic preservation, historic structure rehab, and then there's a small business express program that we have on our website. That's all from the state.
Yep.
And there's also a federal historic
Preservation
tax incentive too. Depending on what happens with the village, if they're going to use any of the structure down there, there could be something there to help that. So, those kinds of things. I know there's other talk of other structures or buildings in the village as to whether or not change of use is going to happen down there because of what's happening in the whole, plan.
I would say some of
that we could see if we could get that.
some of the other buildings that are privately owned right now that could
Yeah.
become part of the larger one.
Right.
If we could get them some kind of a help assistance, and
Yeah.
Certainly the Pelletier building is one that is sitting adjacent to it, which is for sale,
Yeah.
which would be a great one to see if we could get some assistance for.
Right.
And because that being, that's going to back right up or almost be on the side of where the new things are going on, and sidewalks could be connected to it. It could become part of the whole there.
Right.
And so that would be some real good possibilities. Have you seen, or can we kind of put the spotlight on any environmental brownfield money or anything we see out there, or Has
Yeah,
anything ever
there's-
come through your office that might make those kind of dollars available to?
Yeah, I mean,
small
there is
people?
brownfield monies available out there. Again, it's, you know, dependent on the site and dependent on where we are in that process, you know, in order to go for that money. So, what I wanted to do was.
Could it be
on our
used for
website-
private property?
I believe it can be.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the key is that the way you spin it, you know, that you're spinning it for
Economic development.
revitalization, economic development in this particular area, blight, all of those kinds of things.
Mhm.
So one of the things that I want to do with the list of properties that we have listed on our website, the commercial properties, we're trying to keep that kind of an updated list so that people, you know, if they're interested in doing something, you know, economic development wise in East Haddam, that they at least have a running list of properties that are maybe available and what I want to do is I want to expand that and say what use they
Could be
can
part-
be used for. Because a lot of times somebody will come into the office and say, I want to put a restaurant in this particular building because they know that particular building is for sale. And then we go across the hall and land use and say you can't put a restaurant in there because of, you know, the structure of the land underneath it, or the septic, or, you know, there's all kinds of reasons why you can't do that. And then they go away. You know, what we want to be able to do is have somebody get an idea and say, you know, start, so they don't get the first thing is no.
Right.
Is that they come in and they say, you know, this is what I want to do, and I see that this building can do this. So if we give them, and the other, I want to expand even further and put a sign out front, depending on who it is, and say, wouldn't this be a great place for a photo studio or a insurance office, you know, whatever. But so that when people drive by and see that this is an available property for sale, they can say, oh, you know, and it gets them and
The
those
wheels turning.
entrepreneurs, you know, their wheels moving and saying, oh, I could use that for my environmental office or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
so that kind of thing. So I think what we need to do is we need to kind of spur the creative minds out there, but we don't want to slam the door on them the first chance they get.
No, we certainly don't want
So if we
the
can-
answer, the first thing to be is
Yeah,
no.
right.
And
So
we
that's
want to
why-
see is, let's have some options here.
Exactly.
If we can't go in there, if we can't use A, let's look at B.
Right.
And,
You know, so if there's a way to list them either on the website as possible sites for these type of businesses, you know, 1, 2, 3, and then this type of business is, you know, these buildings or whatever, you know, some way that we can kind of give them a, you know, an invitation to be creative and come up with something.
How about if we set up a meeting with the representatives of the Brunel Company? I mean, they've got these great big for sale signs up there, and yet the thing can't go anywhere. They haven't even done a phase 1 yet.
But I think there has been, I was talking to Lyman,
Okay,
my person who I know over there,
okay.
and he was saying that first of all, there isn't as bad of a issue in regards to remediation ground and all that than there was thought to be.
Mhm.
So that's number one.
Yep.
And number two, he was saying that there is a possible interest there that they're trying to like work on and make happen. I'll actually see him tomorrow morning, so I can get back to you. But yeah, we should
I would
definitely
say
talk to
that,
them.
let's see if because no matter who looks at this, I mean, it's not gonna go anywhere until they do a phase 1. If it's not bad, then fine, let's find out what it is. And then from there, once you get a phase 1, then.
So who's responsible for doing the phase 1?
The owner.
The owner.
Yeah, but with a phase 1, it's not a terribly expensive thing. It's when you get to phase 2. That's when maybe we could kick in if we have the information from a phase 1. Maybe we could request a phase 2 and basically see if we couldn't work with the owners to do something there. Because I mean, the property now is something's going to happen. They don't want to pay taxes, and it's empty.
Right.
And so there's nothing going on there at all anymore.
Right.
I mean, there used to be.
I actually met the guy that was doing rehab. Was he doing rehab on campers?
Yeah.
And boats and stuff? And so I ended up meeting him because he's doing exclusively boats. And he's doing it closer to where he lives.
Oh, okay.
But it was just interesting. I happened to meet this guy who was you know,
Working down
in
there.
one of the buildings or the spaces down there.
Yeah.
So there's
But
quite a few of just random stuff behind that building.
Oh, yeah, there's some random, but I think that there is an opportunity there. I mean, there's a huge building, and we could get it to some use and get somebody interested, but I think that we have to take and give them kind of some guidance and maybe some help, and maybe if we could could help them get that phase two, actually in the works, then.
Is there a shelf life on a phase one? Meaning if there was a phase one done 5 years ago, does it need to be
To my
redone?
knowledge, nobody's done phase anything out there,
Okay.
because when Tony had it, he was not interested in having anybody do anything out there.
Okay.
So I doubt there's anything. How long a life? Probably 5 years would be okay. After that, I doubt it would be worth anything.
Okay.
But anybody who does it, they're gonna wanna, do the whole thing. And, but phase one will tell us what it is. I mean, how bad do we got?
Okay.
And give us an idea, as do we have, $100,000 cleanup, or we got a $500,000 cleanup down in that site? And, but I just think there's opportunity there.
there is.
And I think that's one that you've got owners that are gonna be willing to do something.
Right,
And,
they're motivated at this
They're
point.
motivated, so that's what we need. Jeff?
Not on that subject, but before we're talking about that, talking about some buildings in the village that may be used for other purposes. Should we index those? Should we make a list of what's there and what the zoning is, and do some research to see what can be done in those?
I think that right now you've got a group that is looking at the whole village, as to seeing what can they do with it. I think for us to try to pull out a building or something, I'd rather let's see what,
So they might be doing that for us.
well, I think, yeah.
So there's another group looking at the whole.
Well, they're looking at the whole village, so there's kind of like a master plan of the village that's gonna get put together. And I would like to see how they feel they can best utilize the whole thing as a whole. Because there may be a piece that we think is, worth something, but they're gonna tear it down because they need a parking lot, or they need a road, or they need access, or whatever. So I think that let's maybe work on one of the other sections and let them work on that one for right now. And I think maybe if we work on the Moodus and we work on the Four Corners, let's see what we can come up with those areas. And let's let the other fellows come back with what they feel can do down there in the Goodspeed Landing area.
What, all of the warehouse buildings behind Grist Mill to the right,
Lumberyard?
I happened to drive back there the other day. There's a lot of square footage back there. It looks vacant.
Actually, I think there's 10,000 square feet back there, and Scully has 5,000 of that. And of course, he's the one who's gonna be building the new building over on 82. So he's gonna be vacating, that's what he told me.
He told me one time that where he was there,
Yeah.
that there's no heat there,
No,
which was a problem for him.
yeah, because basically try to start equipment and on that zero morning, machines don't like to work when it's not, at least, make it 50 degrees. That's all they need, but they need a little heat. And so yes, that is another area that basically, but that they could rent tomorrow. There isn't an environmental problem there, that they could work with that one tomorrow. So I would expect the owners to be able to, do what they want to do there. I don't know, have we ever talked to Robin about her intentions of that property at all? Or?
I've had a couple of conversations with her when we were still going through the grist mill nightmare.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out what's going on there and whether Kevin was gonna do something or not and all that. So she, obviously Kevin's no longer with us, but with the.
Did everybody know that Kevin
Yeah.
died? And,
Now that is not the problem anymore, she's, working on getting a tenant in there for that and reopening that. But
reopening
the grist mill.
grist mill?
Part, yeah. Because she's had interest in that, and it's just a matter of
Who?
was able to, she couldn't do anything because Kevin was still in there and, his ownership. So now that she has ownership of it, she'll be able to do something with it. So she'll be in good shape for that. And like I said, with interest, then, something will happen, we hope.
Yeah.
The other properties, she's, I've had conversations with her and things that she's thought about that she, you know, would like to do or not like to do. But if there isn't any interest, you know, doesn't matter what she wants, you know, unless she starts the business, and she doesn't seem to be the type that would start a business. She
I don't
just
think,
wants to be a
yeah.
landlord.
It must be a landlord, that's probably enough.
So, right, but that's, you know, that's something else that we can, again, put on out there as an available property for use of and make suggestions.
Mhm.
There was a survey that was done, I mean, at this point, it's probably 5 years old, but Tiffany Quinn put out a survey, like I said, it could have been 5 years ago, about programs that we were doing in East Haddam and all that kind of stuff. And we tacked on a couple of questions at the end of that. And I think that we did this for the East Haddam Business Association of what kind of businesses people would want. And there's been talk of what kind of businesses people want on Facebook also, you know, since then. And maybe if we take a look at that list and see what those things are, and then see, you know, match them with what buildings can do those kind of things, then we can at least kind of have the temperature of the town and, you know, the entrepreneurial spirit out there. Maybe we can kind of, you know, spur some activity.
Well, and
So-
also show that there is interest in a bakery, and so, you know,
Right.
let's have a bakery and let's see where we could put it and
What
then
did
say.
somebody say? They wanted a bakery, and then what else did they say? We were talking to a couple of ladies, and as they walked out of the room, I forget what even
Yeah,
was, but
yeah, I
one said a bakery and one said something of olive oil, or I don't know what they were saying, but it was pretty funny. But,
Yeah.
you know, everybody has all kinds of ideas, but
Right,
you know, it depends on the building use, and that's the part that really gets, you know, in the way of some of this.
But I think that would be a good idea, though, to take and have see what that list says. What does the community,
match it
what
with
could
the
they
use of the
want?
building,
And
yeah.
then let's see if we could match it with a location. And then at least let the landlord know that there's a desire in the town for this, that, and, you know, maybe we could all work together and see if we could
And I
find
think
use.
some of it is, and maybe this is my pie in the sky attitude, but I think some of it is just giving people a little push and a little direction, and giving somebody an idea. There's a lot of people out there that have all kinds of ideas and all things to say, but they don't actually, you know, take the action to do it. But if they start to see a pathway, okay, then they can get excited about something. So I think that this would help that. And how we do that, I was telling Bob that when I was up in Maine, in Wiscasset, it's a beautiful little village kind of town, and they're doing all kinds of crazy road work, and they're just putting in new, they have nice brick sidewalks, and they've got all these little shops and stuff like that. But they're tearing up the road, and it's a small little place anyway. There's one lane going in, one lane going out, and it's Route 1. So I mean, you guys all know Route 1 in Maine. You know, I mean, some of it is fine, and then when you get into a village, it's like crazy. But it looks like they're actually expanding the sidewalks, and they're putting in these big, you know, whatever those sidewalk curb things. And I don't know whether they're filling it with grass or they're putting in more brick or something. But there's orange cans everywhere, and you know the tape, and they have these beautiful little signs that says Wiscasset Village. You know, we're not just another pretty place. But this is what they're doing, is they're kind of embracing the whole mess of this. And then one of the buildings has this huge banner on it that says, and it took me a while to figure out what they were talking about, but it has this huge thing that says, "Welcome to Wiscasset, to our Orange Can Festival." And they're talking about all these orange cans and cones out from the construction, you know. But they're embracing this whole thing, and I'll tell you what, it's busier than it's not there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people lined up for the lobster place, and there's people going up and down, and there's all kinds of little galleries and art galleries and stuff, and it's a crazy busy place, and there's construction going everywhere, you know. But what they've done is they've created interest, you know, and they've kind of embraced the fact that, okay, well, this stinks, but you know what, we can still make it good.
They're making fun out of it,
Yeah.
out of their own
You
situation.
know, so you hear a lot of people complaining about the empty buildings that we have in town. Well, let's, you know, if we can maybe create some interest or, you know, some buzz, you know, maybe we can make some things happen and, you know, give those entrepreneurs out there a little, you know, little impetus to, yeah, this would work. I could do this, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, and we also, you know, the old 7-Eleven store down there, and you know, what do we do with this? I mean, the Cumberland store. I mean, that's the Cumberland store there,
Cumberland's,
and that's a tough one. I mean, it's got an environmental problem. They have, you know, they've done the phase 1, the phase 2, the phase 3, and but it's not clean and it's not signed off, and. So, I mean, I wonder if we could, help them in some way. Can we get a grant to go in and clean the rest of that site in order to get it signed off? I don't know, but it's a standstill right now, and it's almost like, we're not gonna do anything because the state won't sign off, and nobody's proven that the site's clean, and so.
The other thing is I actually had, on the other hat that I wear, I had an appointment with some businesses, and one of the businesses I went to see was BGT Environmental here in town, and she was telling me, this is Zoe Belcher, she was telling me that we've got issues with the state in that the people who do the remediation program, when somebody, goes through the phase 2 or whatever, and they're okay, they have to go into the state remediation, they do the work and necessary, and they get it to the point where it needs to be, but the other agency that oversees another part of it, which is the last box to fill before, now they've cleaned it up, maybe it was a tank problem. They've gone in, they've, taken the tank out, they've put a new tank in, they took out all the dirty soil, it's done. The other portion of the state that is involved in that don't talk to either one, and so it's very difficult to get that last box so that it's a done deal and it's now, you can move forward on the site. You can't until you get that last box checked. And you can't get them to talk to them.
Right.
So this is something that we're gonna try and do on a legislative side so that can, because what'll happen is that'll sit there, like you said, for years and years and years.
Right.
And then now we've got new regs. And so you gotta go back to the beginning again and do all new, different remediation for it. So we're gonna see if we can.
And that's where that one is. They cleaned
Okay.
it, and but they can't get it signed off, and I don't know whether it's this particular situation, but
Yeah.
I mean, they removed a lot of dirt out of there.
Yeah.
A lot of dirt came out of that place, and
Is this the Cumberland Farms?
yeah, down the lower one, right across the street from where Dutch has his propane, and it's like a standoff between the state and trying to get the owners to do whatever they need to do, and they're frustrated with the state that they can't get the.
And then nobody
site
can
up.
move on the property because it's not done.
Oh, and this was a serious situation. It was a lot of gasoline,
Yeah.
and so it's not a little environmental problem. It was a huge environmental problem, and so.
So we'll be working on some of that.
See if there's anything out there that we could do, because that is one corner that would sure be nice to see if we could help to push that over the edge in some way. Because, I mean, Bruce Dutch has done a great job with the old mill, and swinging that corner and have to look at that building all boarded up over there is certainly a bummer to come into the center of Moodus with. And so let's just see if there's anything we can do. If we can, great. And I think that we could work with Brown Allen Company. I think there's chances there that we could do something. And so let's see if we could, one-on-one, see if you could work with the representatives there, and maybe come back to this board and let us know what can we do, and maybe what the community can do.
Yeah,
and let's see if we can't all work together to see if we can't push that over the edge in some way, and to get it. And I was also talking about buildings. I mean, Bruce Dutch bought Joe Albuquerque's building over there on W.
Oh, he
Palmer
did?
Road. Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering why it looks so nice and clean.
Yeah, it got all cleaned up over there,
It
and
did.
that is for rent, and so he
Awesome.
wants to rent the building, and so
He doesn't have a use for it?
he doesn't have a use for it,
Okay.
no, and so he wants to rent it.
Do you guys know what we're talking about? It's on Joe Williams Road, across the street from Dutch right now.
Oh, okay.
It used to be the old landscaping.
Gotcha, yeah.
So they've cleaned it all up, it looks real good, and I think that he's actively trying to find a tenant for it, and I think that, there will
Do we
be.
know what the use is?
Oh, you got a lot of uses you
Retail,
could, you could do it.
Office,
yeah.
not restaurant,
You could use it for a restaurant.
you could?
Yeah, I don't know about septic there though.
Yeah,
I don't
that's what
know.
we gotta
But
check.
but in that zone, you got a lot of uses, and
Right.
so I think there's. Let's take and ask Jim Ventris.
We will.
If we could get a list of the things that would be possible there, maybe we can help Mr. Dutch find a tenant for that place.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because I think that's one that's cleaned up, it's ready to go, and let's see if we can help him do anything with that. Anybody else have any?
Just real quick, kind of going back to the signs on the building, this building could be used for this or that. What if we put something together for that, for the Fall Festival? Because we're gonna have a lot of people from the surrounding towns there too. And if we can have like the old Century 21 building where, you know, this could be your insurance agency or something like that.
Mhm.
If we have some, you know, make some cute little signs, just put them out for that weekend possibly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's up to owners whether they want us to do that, but usually owners would like to see any kind of excitement anybody can do. And I think that certainly they've got that now, or that particular building, it's actively for sale. The owner looks like they're very interested in doing something, so they look very motivated. So any of these we can help in any way, would certainly like to have that happen, that's for sure. No? Anybody else have any thoughts or comments?
How do we go about doing that? Is there only one building that?
As far as
Define that?
buildings that are available,
Yeah,
there's a list on the website under the EDC of available properties, available commercial properties.
okay,
So, as I said, all we wanna do is maybe expand it, maybe get in touch with those owners and say, you know, we wanna try and help you either sell or rent. And we're checking with land use to find out what the best use of the building is, and
okay.
we were thinking if there was a sign out there that said for sale, great studio for photographers or insurance agents, you know, whatever, that might help the ideas, so. And we can put that on the website as well, and to Mike's point, if they were interested, if the owners were interested in putting that sign out, when we had a lot of influx of people, which we will between not only the Fall Festival weekend, but just, you know, this is when people are out and about and coming through, and the fall's coming too, and it's a good time to let people stew on new ideas, so, it's a good idea to get it.
No.
The timeliness isn't good.
I was gonna say, and anything we can do to help fill some of these buildings, is
Yeah,
obviously
maybe
a
once we
top.
put it together too, we could put it in the news,
Mhm.
you know, just say, hey, you know, this is what's going on, you know,
Mhm. Yep, utilize it a little bit.
yeah.
All right. Oh, sure.
One comment.
Sure,
I've been pushing MCRC for a long time.
yes,
They've loaned all their money.
they've spent it,
Yeah,
They've got it all
good,
out, which
okay,
is nice.
yep,
But that's not available for us for the moment. They may have some coming back in
okay,
that'll be available, but it's not gonna be massive amounts.
okay, yeah, because you had 400,000 available there.
Yeah, I just didn't want anybody going looking for that.
Okay, I was gonna ask you, matter of fact, it's on my list, MCRC is right here, I was gonna ask you.
Okay.
All right, but did it go into Middletown area, or?
Portland, I believe, is $250,000 for a golf. It's not a driving range, it's a virtual driving range.
Okay,
Don't ask me what that's all about.
yeah,
But apparently it's real popular.
it's like a Wii kind of a thing,
Yeah.
yeah,
maybe.
okay.
Well, this is for golf.
Yeah.
Right, but you can do that, like,
That's what
your
Trump
Wii
has
system
in
on
mind.
your TV, it's like a video game, but it's a virtual, right? Like you can play tennis, you can
It's
bowl,
Yeah,
Like,
this
go to
one
senior
guy
center.
can swing the
You
club.
actually
Yeah,
swing
you
the
can do
club
that.
with the ball.
You haven't done that, huh?
It's been a long time since.
you put a mask on and you can watch it, you can do the birdie.
All right, anybody else have any thoughts or comments?
I mean, there are other foundations in places out there that do offer up money. The Rockfall Foundation, I think I was talking to Susan about that.
Yep.
They have spent all their money for this year, but there is, you know, other monies that is gonna be available over the next year or so.
Okay.
It's not quite the big numbers.
Yeah.
But it could be something for a smaller project.
Like the 25 or 30,000, is that the kind of money they
On
would?
the lower end of that, probably.
Okay,
But, yeah,
okay, so it's the
yeah.
person who needs
It-
10 or
it's-
$12,000 for
Exactly.
almost
Yep.
working capital sort of thing. Okay, all right.
Absolutely.
And I think, you know, after you kind of get going,
Mhm.
you know, you need that little working capital to get yourself going here a little bit. So, all right, no, that's great. And I think as we kind of get out there a little bit and see what's going on and see what we could find and see if we can help anybody, and especially with these ones that are the tough environmental ones, they're tough. And yet they have a big effect on us. And so hopefully we can do something. The tourism, I mean, obviously we have fall weekend coming up. And I think we probably gotta start getting that put together a little bit?
About that earlier, hopefully over the next week or so, maybe we're gonna get a,
Yeah, we're gonna
planning
meet
meeting.
together with Jess
Yeah.
and Mike and myself.
Okay,
We'll get going on the list of items for that,
okay.
yeah.
And,
The brochures for East Haddam, I mean, the state's gonna be opening up 5 of the rest areas, and I think, we exchanged quickly emails about that.
yeah,
But they want a minimum of 500 to each
one,
facility, which
yeah.
we can't do.
right,
But I think if we get some of them out there,
Yeah.
and, as far as getting them out to the further out there places down, like Fairfield County and stuff,
is the one that's in Westbrook, is that gonna open?
that one wasn't on the list.
It isn't.
The
Yeah.
closest one was Stonington, to us, but they
Yep.
were.
That's,
Further
that's
south.
obviously the big one there, is
Yeah,
Stonington,
yeah.
okay.
But yeah, if we can,
Yeah, we've got, I think, 2 boxes left.
I
Right.
got one full box. too,
You have a
so,
full box?
yeah.
Okay, and I
How
think
many
we,
are in a box? 250?
No, I wanna say 500 maybe.
Is there?
500 plus.
yeah, I would say probably 500, because there was, I think we got maybe 10 boxes, and,
So we could take a box down to Stonington.
Yeah.
mhm.
I don't know
Or
that it would.
even a half of one for that matter.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I would think, they would happy to say, can see some activity right now.
Yeah.
And I don't wanna lose all the ones we have, because it's very popular around here, and certainly we're going through them right locally around here. And
Absolutely.
so that's great. But, okay, so you're gonna get together with fall weekend stuff and
Yeah.
get started on that?
Yeah,
Okay,
We'll have something for you next time.
okay. Connecticut Landmarks contacted me about they're going to have the Palmer property available. They're gonna have the Amasa Day property available. So I said that we would basically be contacting them, and we will add them to our brochure. And they were very much like to work with the town of East Haddam. And so I put that as a red flag up, saying that, wow, celebrate that Connecticut Landmarks wants to work with
See
East
what
Haddam.
happens when you push them a little? You
So,
poke the bear?
yeah, so,
That's good, that's good for us.
yeah,
Good for East
and
Haddam.
the contact person is Erin, and she is the one who is in charge of the Palmer Warner property. And she's the one who's there 2 days a week. She's at that house.
Do you know which 2 days?
I don't, I think it's Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I think she's there. And so she would like a contact, and she'd be happy to write up, I asked her to write up what she would like to have on both of these properties, and then we would basically put it into our brochures. And so maybe if you could just either give her a call or stop in and see her or whatever. And
Yeah,
she's also in Hartford, I think, 2 days a week, and
Okay.
she's in the Hartford office.
Do you know her last name?
I do have it, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. But she's very nice to work with. I like working with her, and also the executive director also contacted me saying that they wanted to participate in East Town. So I looked at that as very optimistic.
The brochure that you're talking about, is that the one that we put together each year?
No, this would be something the committee would put together for just the fall festival.
Okay, that's something else.
Yes, yeah, it's not their big brochure.
That one doesn't.
Yeah, no, this would be just one we use for the weekend.
Yeah.
And,
They wanna do an event, they wanna be open that day for that?
yeah, for fall weekend,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So they're gonna be open the 2 days. They said they'd be open for 2 days. They would have, open the houses up, and make it available. And last year when we were starting to talk, I said, it is going to be free, right? And after I got this feeling of, they had to take a double play, but they did, and
They get it.
they did it, and they opened it up and didn't charge any fees for anybody to go in, and they had a lot of people go through that Palmer Warner House. And there were over 200. And that was a good day.
Yeah.
So that was good. And I didn't mention this year that I expected it's going to be free for East Haddam residents. But I'm going to make sure it is.
Right.
Certainly going to suggest it, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we'll kind of figure on getting together next week with that. Okay, great. Did you pick out a time or a day or anything yet?
Not yet, we were just talking
Okay.
about it, so
Okay,
I'll let you know.
okay, great. And the EDC committee and the P&Z subcommittee, working on the lower Town Street, the Route 82, the Four Corners, basically south. We are meeting with P&Z. They have 2 representatives, we have 3. And it's going, I think, extremely well. They're very interested in seeing what can be done. They like the idea that there's good sight lines down there, there's flat land down there. And so we've been basically working with maps like this, and we're kind of marking them up now as to what we think could be. We're talking about it being a village zone, so it's going to be very highly regulated area. The uses are going to be very minimal for it, but basically that's what Main Street in East Haddam is. So as you go down Main Street, we're kind of looking at the same kind of thing, and I think calling it a village zone is a lot more acceptable than talking about commercial zones. And I think that the neighborhood in the area certainly wants it to be very restrictive, have a lot of ifs, ands, and buts to it, to the architectural approvals and architectural designs and basically landscape design. And so I think it's going to be highly regulated, but still make it possible for some of the properties down there that, because it's such a mixed use down there right now, it's almost a 50-50 with commercial and residential. And it seems like it's falling more into the business zone than the residential zone. But I think if we don't put some regulations on it and have some safeguards, it's just going to keep falling with no safeguards for the community. So I think what we're going to be looking at is how can we make some good safeguards to make it available, but put the safeguards on the area, and to make it so that the residents that are there feel, okay with it. And so it's going to take some work to do it, but I think the committee is working quite well. Jim is on the committee, and I think that it's moving along, and I've been very satisfied with it. And anybody who would ever like to stop into the committee meetings, more than welcome to do so. Let's see, proposed expansion. Oh, the proposed expansion in the industrial area. That was Shagbark that was interested in doing some more with their property. They had taken a little siesta on this. They did get all their stuff approved for the expansion of the building right next to the Shagbark company now. And they have all their architectural stuff done, and they've got their approvals through P&Z and wetlands and all that. So I think they're getting very close to submitting for a building permit. So it looks like that's going to be moving along. Also, I know that Scully is working on getting engineering stuff done for his site up there, and he's getting the stuff on the building specs. So I think that those 2 are moving along. On the expansion of the industrial area, they're looking now for where they're going to get the access to it. So they're looking to see where they can get a road to go in. They're looking off of Town Street, to go in off of Town Street, around where the power lines go across, and then they're looking off of Mount Parnassus Road. And so they have engineers who are working on that. So it looks like they're kind of gearing up for that a little bit, and seeing what they can do with it. Any thoughts or comments from anybody on that? Chatham Health. Jim, you have any comments on Chatham Health at all?
Per our discussion a while back, things are going well, and so there's no need.
Yeah. Yeah, Jim and I talked about it. you know, what I've seen happening with Chatham Health and what most of the contractors are telling me, that you know, they're doing a good job. They're showing up on time, and they're working with us in a business-like manner. And so I'm getting the word that things are certainly improved in that office tremendously. Don?
I had an inspection with him today, and it was a pleasant experience.
Well, that's sure nice to hear.
And
Yeah.
Don Mitchell came out,
Yep.
so he's working in a different capacity. Now he's working as one of their inspectors, and it was pleasant.
Yeah.
I
And
got a lot more comfortable doing
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and
He
he's
really wanted
it's a good change for him.
Yeah.
But
And he's excellent at it. He's
he's
got the
good.
right personality for it, and he's got the knowledge. He's
This guy Melvin who's in there now is a Cracker Jack.
oh,
He's-
good,
Yeah.
good.
He's extremely.
The
good.
new director, yeah.
Yeah.
The director, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah. Oh, I was very
This is
impressed.
where we needed to be.
Yeah, I impressed from his presentation to this board, and I thought he did a nice job giving us an idea as to where he was and what he wanted to do, and I think the minutes show that you know, I thought he did a good job, and but from what the contractors are telling me, and I'm glad to hear that also. It's, you know, you're a different industry. You're
Yeah.
probably what, pools and
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. So it's nice that we have a gentleman to work with, and I think that that's great. And Jim, thank you for, you know, covering those meetings. And I think that's you know, it's certainly turned around, and I think that EDC helped it along. Obviously, the selectmen made it happen, but I think EDC helped it along.
I do have to follow up with Kevin Staley. Remember I was telling you?
Yes.
Kevin had a conversation with somebody and was, about his expansion, what he's doing, and he apparently had some complaints about them, but I don't know if they were old complaints. You know, if he's
Yeah.
had any new, so I wanted to kind of clarify with that with him to make sure that if it's old stuff, okay, I appreciate that, but how is it going lately? So I just want to double check with him on that to see
Yeah.
if,
Yeah, and let's see.
again, a different industry, so, you
Yep.
know,
And let's see what it
business
is.
expansion, so let's see what that is first before we totally say everything's perfect.
Oh, I don't want to go that far. But
Keep-
no,
Keep them on notice a little longer.
yeah, that's right. But I think that let's see what it is, and let's see if we can't take care of it and nip it in the bud.
Yep.
And I think that management over there wants to hear that, and wants to know if there's a problem that we can't take care of in this office,
Yep.
then let's go over there and let's sit down and let's work it out. And
He had very complimentary though of our new building inspector here in
Yes.
town, so,
yeah, I think that
everybody's,
We got a home run there.
yeah, we did,
yeah.
A real
Yeah.
home run.
great
Yeah.
job on that.
But he's a real professional. I mean, he's the knowledge that he comes with. I think that he's doing a real good job for the community.
Not one bad word about him,
Yeah, and
and everybody's pleased.
yeah, no, well, it's the difference between everybody treating everybody like gentlemen, and I think
Well, it's
that
also having the availability that we haven't had before,
oh, absolutely,
and that makes a big difference, you know, if
Oh.
you can all be there when we're all here for doing our business, then
Yes.
it makes
Yeah.
much better
yeah. And our inspections are during business hours,
and very timely,
and timely. He
doesn't hold up.
No,
The works.
I have heard only good things about him, and that he shows up, and he shows up on time, and gets in, gets the inspections done. If he has a problem with something, gets them worked out, and gets back and has a re-inspection and done, and no fooling around with it. So I think that no, he goes. He was definitely a good choice, and so it's nice that the community has a good building department, and certainly the clerk who's in there, Ruth, she's another, I mean, she's really good, and she does a great job for the community. And Plan of Conservation and Development, they're gonna have a public hearing on that, at the, let's see, it's the fourth Tuesday of August. Pardon me?
We hope. Broom's got it again, it depends on when it comes back.
Oh, okay, all right,
And we're looking for it on the 7th, fingers crossed.
okay.
It may get pushed off if it's ready by then.
Oh, okay, all right. So I know they had planned on having a public hearing on the, I don't know, the 24th, I guess it is, I think, and so,
Hopefully that's gonna happen, but.
May not.
guaranteed yet.
okay, all right, a little more work needs to be done on that.
Were
And,
we going to try and see if we could get something added into that?
Yes, and basically it is added in, it's
It's
basically,
already there.
it's the expansion of the sewer line up to the Four
But
Corners.
didn't we come up with something else that we said that we should have an inkling of that, whether it be, maybe it's the village zoning or anything about this that we wanted to put in there, or is it just the sewer?
Well, then we asked for water for the village, and that is in there.
Okay, all right, so
Um,
everything is already there.
Well, no, I think you're right, though, there was
I thought there
something
was
else that
something
we
else.
had
There's
talked
something
about.
With the village district, is to, you know, just putting an indication that, you know, to expand something, and I'm trying to think of
You
what we.
know, we review it once a year, update it and change on an
Okay.
annual basis.
It's very difficult to do, because once that book gets printed, it's difficult, because we tried to do that with, what were we working on? It was something we were working on and, to do with it, and our section in there, so it's section 8, and it was a bear to get that rewritten, so that, because we felt it had very little to do with economic development, didn't say anything, didn't have any bite to it, and basically we rewrote it, and it took us a year and a half to get that voted on, and so.
But you got it.
Got it, yeah.
Nobody said it was easy.
No, only took 25 meetings to do it. But I think that if we want to get something in there, now's the time to do it. So if anybody has anything that, it's online, so if you take a look at the economic development section, and there's anything that we think that we would like to add, anything that's not clear, by all means, let us know, and we'll see if we can get it in there. And you're right. There was one other thing that I meant to bring up
I thought it had to do with that.
with this section here, looking at the. Yeah,
Whether it
you're
was
right.
either,
It was right, because we wanted to
because I
have.
think Lou said that. He
Yes.
said that we should get it into the plan of conservation and development so that
Yes.
it's something that people are already aware that.
We're looking at it.
We're
It was
looking at
to jointly look into the possibilities.
Of whether it be this district or another district, but to keep
That's what it was,
adding village zoning to various
right? Because
portions of this town, whatever.
Lou is on
Lou's on
planning and
planning
zoning,
and
and
zoning.
he's on the committee with us, looking into the 82 expansion area, and he said that it should be in the plan of conservation and development, and so I will check on that and see if that actually got in there.
Okay.
And the business of the month. We at our last meeting didn't have a quorum, so we didn't pick anybody for the month of August. I don't think it's too late to do it. I think we could nominate somebody for the month of August, and basically put it together and get our photo op out there and get it into the paper, and because certainly it's happened before where it went in on the 10th or something like that, and still gives somebody a reasonable amount. We had talked about, did you
Smith Farms
did you
Gardens.
talk to Smith Farms?
I haven't gotten in touch with them yet, but
Okay.
that was one that we had mentioned a couple months ago.
Yeah.
That now that they're up and running and they're doing weddings up there, I mean, it's a beautiful piece of property, and the events are beautiful up there, and
Does anybody by when they on the weekends when they have it up there?
Yeah, take a ride by. It's really pretty.
They're doing a beautiful job, just a beautiful job up there. You see the big tents are up there. Have you seen them up? I mean, and I have been very impressed with what they've done up there, and the whole piece of property looks gorgeous, and I think.
And those are surely out of town people that are coming in and doing events up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that only shows that it's a partner in our economic development.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely a classy place.
it sure is.
And it complements East Haddam.
Yeah. Yeah, it's real good. So if you would,
Yeah, so we're
I
gonna
mean,
try
we
and get in touch
could,
with
we
her.
could nominate them, but obviously subject to, whether
We
they
can
would
get
like
them.
to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't know whether they would like the publicity or not. And so I think that that's one suggestion. I thought
We're
of,
gonna nominate somebody else, right?
I was gonna nominate, yeah, or we could nominate somebody else. I was also thinking of Eddie's Auto Body. Eddie and Carol have been great citizens of East Haddam and certainly done a great job up there as one. And
What about Balix or Cold Spring
and
Farm?
then
with the,
Balix, yeah.
Farmers market going on, they both get a lot of exposure with that.
Yeah, and I think that Balix, they have some stuff that's coming out in the paper, I think, next week.
Yeah, so they've
So
really
they're
been
getting
in the
a lot
limelight
of
a lot.
publicity, and then this
So we're trying to
week,
get other-
we've got basically Jess
Jess
is
was
on.
in this week's
She's,
paper.
she's on the front page of this week's
There's a lot of
paper.
publicity going to those guys.
Yeah, so they're doing pretty good, I
They're
think,
doing
those
all
two.
right.
Well, farmer's market is really popular in September, isn't it?
Yes. Yep.
So how about Eddie's Auto Body this month? Take that one in,
Yeah,
Okay.
we can do that.
and then with all the, people supporting Balix, the farm,
Yep.
farmer's market, it'd be great to see that sign out there that time of year,
Mm-hmm.
that month.
Yep.
So I would like to vote on Eddie's Auto Body.
Okay, we were gonna start with Smith Farm, Eddie's Auto Body, and then Balix.
Yeah.
And that would take care of August, September, and October. Is that, I mean, has anybody else got any ideas or
Does the
things?
farmer's market go to October?
No, it goes to September for sure,
So we would need to do the farmer's market September.
yeah.
All right, why don't we switch it around then, do the,
Eddie's this month.
okay, we could do Eddie's, and then do Balix and then do Smith Farm? I don't know, that's,
Well, you said you'd have to, talk to the Smith
Yeah, so
Farm
Yeah.
Smith Farm and
first.
see if they would
So
do
we
it.
don't have time for that, but if we want to sneak in something for this month, can we vote on, say, let's Eddie's?
Yep.
I would, like to
okay,
suggest Eddie's Auto Body.
okay, let's do Eddie's for basically August. Smith Farm for September, and then maybe Balix, does that make sense?
Well, September's a real good month for produce.
Okay,
So that's really popular.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think you have to switch Smith Farm too, because by the time October comes around, I'm sure they're like wrapping up their event.
yeah,
So what I could do is I could talk to them, and if they're okay and they wanna do it,
yeah,
give them August, because
Okay.
they're probably in the height of their
Yeah.
season.
right.
And then September for the farmer's market. Eddie's is year round, so we can put
Yep.
them in October.
Actually, Eddie, that's their busier time then.
There you go.
Okay.
So maybe we do October for Eddie's.
Okay,
Sounds good.
Does that
yeah,
work?
yep, yep, I think that's good.
Okay.
So let's just get,
Make a motion.
I make a motion that for August, we go with
Smith,
Smith.
second that?
okay, let's do them all. And
Oh, okay.
let's do August and September, we're gonna basically do,
Farmer's market.
well, it's gonna be Balix, right? Or was it the farmer's market? Which are we doing?
Well, the farmer's market
Same
is
thing.
a entity,
Yeah,
Mhm.
I would say.
but I
Do
guess we could
farmer's
do them
market?
together.
Yes, but I think it's in the name of Balix, because they host it, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right.
And it gives them, because who do you give it to at the farmer's market?
So,
They kind of hand in hand,
Yeah.
Well, it's,
I think.
no, they're really separate things
They're
here.
separate entities.
They're separate entities. One of, I mean, the farmer's market is basically,
But everybody has.
But the
But
sign
Jeff-
and everything in the picture's gonna be at Ballard's.
yeah,
So just
Yeah,
like
I
we
would
did
say
with Fox Hop Yard. Fox Hop Yard was
we got everybody in
Fox
that
Hop
picture.
golf club and
Right.
On the Rocks restaurant.
Okay, so we could
We
get
could do
Balix
both of
with the farmer's market.
Why not?
Okay, okay.
But truly, the write-up will be more about the farmer's market.
Yep,
You know, and the new things that Ballard's is doing, such as, you know, changing the farmer's market time and
Yep.
bringing in Simon's Marketplace, you know,
Yep.
those kind of things that they're doing.
and,
So that's his motion, all of that.
okay.
And I second all of that.
Are you second it? Okay,
You second it.
all right. Anybody else have any thoughts, comments, one way or the other? All right, all those in favor of the group that we have for businesses of the month? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, well, that's good. We got those all taken care of here.
In regards to that, when the sign was at Liberty Bank, it fell down and somebody ran over it. And so some of it's broken and it doesn't really do much as far as that goes. So, I don't know if you can see this on my phone, but, those flags that are out there, that businesses
Yes,
have, I think
yes.
there's one at Gristmill actually,
That sounds
those
like a
big
good
feather
idea.
flags. We were thinking about maybe we do that, and this is a terrible layout, but we're gonna work on it. But we're, talking about, they're about $200, and we wanted to see if we could get one of these things, and then this would kind of pretty much highlight the fact that this particular business is business of the month as opposed to the small. So I don't know, I'm not sure how many people saw that. But we can still use that. One of the things I wanted to do was kind of highlight the fact that I'm here on Tuesdays, and when there's a lot of people that walk by my door, I leave the door open when I'm here, and I do get lots of visitors, which is awesome, talking about all kinds of things, so it's great. But to put that sign, I can still use the sign, and I'll put it right there at the doorway to say, hey, EDC's open, come on in.
Oh,
So I mean, I still want to use it so that we're not, just, because Don, I believe Don put that together for us, so I want to use that. I want to find out if there's more letters.
Whole box full.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll get that from you. So we want to still use the sign, but the ones that say business of the month are all unfortunately.
Try not to
missed.
drive over it in the hallway, that's
I'll
all,
try
you
not
know?
to.
I mean, it would be nice if we can keep the cars out of the hallway.
But anyway, so I'm gonna work on getting this layout, and maybe by, maybe the next couple, hopefully maybe I can get a nice layout by next week, and I can email it out to everybody, and you guys can
Okay.
take a look and see what you think, but see if we can pull this together, and then that way we have something really nice, and noticeable,
Yep.
Does EMP do things like that?
Yeah, and that's what I'm
Okay.
working with. Yeah, I'm trying to get him to do it, so, he just needs some layout help. We'll work on that with him and, get a good looking one so that we can put it out.
All right, so is that something that you would like to have the committee endorse and authorize $200 or whatever this
Yeah, I
we're
don't have the
talking?
exact number, so.
What, can you give
we
us a
go-
range, 2 to 250?
Yeah,
Okay,
that would be great.
all
Yeah,
right,
could
I'd
we
like the
authorize
committee
that?
to actually authorize that.
That's what I'm
um,
doing, for $250 or less. All ever in favor? No, you do, whatever you have to do.
Okay, we'd like a motion that to say that we'll pay up to $250 for a new sign that we use for our businesses of the month.
A motion.
Motion?
Oh, second.
Second it? Okay.
Thank you.
So what we're gonna do, are all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye? All right, so we'll have up to that $250 to, and do that.
Procedural
Yes,
stuff.
yes, so that basically, I think that's gonna be actually more noticeable. And I think that's the idea here, is to get it so people know that we're doing something over there.
Stand?
Yeah, it does. We have to figure out what the stands, some of the stands, like, you stick into the ground. Some of them have the cross on the bottom and you gotta have to get a sandbag to put it on, but we'll figure it out.
I was gonna say, I think you're gonna have to put something in the ground, because
Yeah.
that's a lot of weight up there when that breeze blows.
Right,
So it'd
right.
probably be like a piece of rebar or something like that, or put it
Yeah.
in the ground for a little bit. So
Okay.
let's,
But
we'll
get it.
we'll
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 get it so it works.
it will get something on there. We've had this vision and mission statement on here. I know that we should have something like that.
Wouldn't that be what we have in the plan of conservation and development?
Certainly, it's vision, and let's take a look at it and let's see if we can't put
Something
something
together for
very
next meeting?
simple together for our next meeting. That's been writing on the agendas here, and I know it's something that we really should have in a document. And so let's do that, and I don't think it has to be extensive. I think it just has to be, you gotta have one, that's all.
Okay,
And
well, I'll see if I can cut something out of what
yeah,
we put in.
see what.
We've already written something, we should just use that.
Yeah, and keep it simple, and, but I just wanna have something, so we have it. Under new business, I do just have a bill, that came from, Connecticut Economic Resources. That's the site finder for municipalities. We do use this. It's $650 a year. So I think that we can put our properties on this, and it kind of gives us a lot of information as to what's going on in the rest of the state. And so I would say it's probably worth it, but equally, it's $650 out of a budget that we've got a very tight budget. And so I'm going to say I would suggest we do, but it is a sizable investment for us to do. So do you have any thoughts or comments on that?
I don't know what that is, so I don't know that it's something that we've used before. and
Yeah,
something
we've
used-
had it for a while now, I think for a couple of years. And you never get any info from them? I get it,
No.
and I'm gonna make sure that you get on the
Yeah.
list then. Basically, they're telling us what's going on in the economic development world in the state, and especially Middlesex County. So we do get the stuff out of Middlesex County.
I mean, I do get stuff from the state economic development.
Well, this is
That's different.
This is different. This is Connecticut Economic Resource Center.
Okay.
And so, in some ways, I'm a little bit hesitant because of the dollar amount here. And so I'm going to look for a little guidance from everybody.
How tight is the budget?
It's in there because we had it in there last year, but it is an extremely tight budget. We don't have, any extra money. So if there's something else that we think is more important than this, but
Well, maybe what I could do is, when you get me on that list, I can take a look at that and see what it does, and then get everybody on board as to what this is actually doing for us.
tell you what,
When's the bill
one,
due?
pardon
Pass
me?
it on down, Bob.
Yes.
Bill due?
And I didn't catch it.
When is it due?
Oh, it's due now, because I had it at the last meeting, and,
The membership expires on 7/1.
yeah, but they keep it going, they
Yeah.
want us, and, so they keep it active,
They won't
but,
say no.
no, they won't
Yeah.
say no, they're
They
just
won't
like,
cancel us.
no, they will not cancel you, and,
All right, but I'll look at it and I'll
Take a
see
look.
what it gives us and,
Yep.
what it can do versus what else is out there.
Yep.
I mean, in today's information world, this is something we may not have to pay for at all.
Yeah.
You
Take a
know,
look
so-
and see what you think, and,
So I'll take a look.
yeah,
see
and
what it does for us.
it is a pretty good source of information.
Yeah.
And, but if it's not getting around to the rest of the board, then I want to make sure that
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are on that list and who gets it. And,
How many users can use that, do you know? Like, could we all tap into it?
There, I think you can get 3 on it with that fee.
That's
If you
true.
then want to go over that, then I think it's another $100 or $150
Okay.
bucks. But I think that we could get it and we could send it out. And
Are these the folks that came in and did the seminar with us?
no,
This is different,
that's a
okay.
different way.
Main Street.
No, it was different than Main Street. I remember Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
But there was another group that maybe, I don't know, I'll look into it. I'll let you
Take a
guys
look
know.
at it, see what you think. But I do like getting the information from them. Any?
Can you forward me
yeah,
like the last
sure.
able that you got from them, so I can see what they send?
Yeah, I'll send it over to you and you can take a look at it. Any public comment out there?
Yes, sir.
All right, Rob, what can we do for you?
Bob Smith, Boardman Road. Irene, are you on this committee?
I'm not.
It's hard to second a motion when you're not on.
It was the night that she resigned. That was that's why I brought it up
I remembered
too.
accepting a resignation.
Right, well, we hadn't accepted it yet. It happened like 10 minutes later in the meeting.
Just trying to move it along, but thank you, Rob. We'll make sure that I stop doing that.
Well,
I have been in the past.
I know, old habits.
Old
It's
habits.
automatic.
That's
Well, just bump me when you want.
Make a motion then.
So, when you were talking to Bevan Bells,
Mhm.
and they're going to Marlboro, did they look at anything in East Haddam?
Well, we haven't had that conversation yet. I'm actually
Oh.
working with her, quote, on the legislative side, so I have to kind of be careful about what I'm doing
Okay.
here. But they're just, this particular factory, she actually lives up in where does she live? She lives up in Springfield or somewhere up in Massachusetts, right over the line. So she was trying to get them more north. But I was checking with her in the course of finding tax incentive programs for her as to how much space she needs and all that kind of thing. So it's in the list. It's in the back.
Well, I was just curious, I mean, you know, was it transportation, access, or what? I was just curious, since we have this, you know, Brownell building just hanging around looking for
Yeah, a potential.
someone to step in there.
Yeah. I asked her if she was interested in moving Bevan Bells at all, and she was like, no, we gotta leave Bevan in East Hampton, but this ancillary,
They're not gonna move it down south?
no.
Know where the governor is?
Yeah, I'm almost surprised. It hasn't taken a ride.
They have to leave it over in Bevan country.
There's two Bevan countries now, I guess. So. Anyway, I don't know if you're aware, but the Foxtown Road Bridge is now open, and I'm sure Emmett was gonna mention, it probably slipped his mind, that for traffic, they moved it along pretty quickly when they finally got going on and got the arches thing, so.
Thank God.
There's a few residents that are very happy they can get without making that loop.
Of course,
Yeah.
the day they opened it, they had someone a traumatic injury on the fall, so.
Oh, gee.
What did they do, fall?
Yeah.
From above.
Apparently from above, so, you know, I don't know, but anyway.
Climbing or just?
I don't know. But one of the things that you're talking about tourism so the state parks, we have a number of them in town. And I don't know if you're aware, but the entire season, actually going back before Memorial Day, I believe, there's been no supervisor at the castle. And it's being run from afar, and they have just two permanent employees, one at the hop yard and one at the castle. And all this eventually affects the tourism in the town, because the facilities are going downhill. I mean, they have nice composting toilets at the hop yard that aren't operational, which is strange for a composting toilet to not be operational, because it's making compost, so I mean, but there's no fan, no battery, something's not working. And there's two of them, neither one are working, or none of them are working.
So they
And
locked up?
they've got porta potties there instead.
Oh, okay.
So, and then the castle, I've had a number of people say that, it's obviously not being cleaned properly and things like that. So, even though they're gonna be spending $1 million there, so at some point, it's going to start impacting the town. And, I don't know how we get the folks up in Hartford to address this, but,
So there's nobody over in that park?
So the supervisor resigned and left and went to Vermont back in, I think it was
Yours.
May or April, I
Yeah,
forgot
I think it was
exactly.
April.
And it's being run from a district manager who covers the whole eastern half of the state, so he's there not frequently. And they go all the way over to Gardner Lake, where they had a drowning or near drowning within the last 2 weeks. So, they've got, I think, 10 state parks that they're taking care of with just 2 permanent employees. So these things impact all the local economies to one degree or another. So, not sure how to address it, but
What has
Well,
happened?
that's DEEP, right?
Yeah.
That's who actually runs the
Yeah.
state parks.
Yeah.
We have to figure out where they are in relationship to the tourism group, because tourism is getting a little bit of a bump and a little bit of a nudge, and we just need to pull them in, pull that portion in. I mean, I know DEP does other things too, as far as keeping things clean and lakes and all that, but
so, they've done lots of studies on that, and I don't have the figures, but I know it's billions of dollars come into this state
Yeah.
from outdoor recreation in general, so.
Well, how about with their new funding that's coming through the licenses? Isn't that been
that was
quite a
supposed to-
revenue stream?
That was supposed to have increased the staffing and funding for other operations and things like that. But from what I understand, and I just learned this the other day, someone was telling me that what they did was, and it's classic, they took 50 positions and put it underneath that so they could free up some general fund money. So instead of supplementing the existing, which is what the concept was and why it was put into place, they backdoored it and are using it to fund
Diverting?
existing positions and releasing general fund money to other things. So the end result is that, as of right now, there hasn't been a significant increase anywhere in the state for staffing. So a few here, a few there, but not.
So in other words, we're getting a tax and we're not getting any advantage of basically the revenue
We don't know
going
that
where we
money
thought
went,
it was
so
going.
We don't know where that money went, it went someplace else, but there may be, whatever. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a couple comments, so
Yeah.
no more seconds.
Oh. But I mean, that's certainly a real concern. I mean, certainly the castle is a huge asset for us. And I think that maybe we could talk about that. Maybe we should be writing to somebody here saying that we'd like to see some staffing at that castle.
If only we knew a representative that might have something
Yeah,
to say.
some influence.
She's too busy
Bring that to the
seconding
floor.
motions, we should second. We'll get her straightened out, won't we?
Let's look into that.
Yeah,
Let's
sure.
see what the story is, because
Yeah.
that's way too big an asset for us to have, not having personnel down there. I mean, that is a beautiful facility there,
Right.
and we can't take a chance on not having that facility taken care of down there.
There's nobody on site there now?
He's just one guy, and so, I hate to tell you.
Is he
how
there
many
every
people-
day, or no?
Well, no, he's there 5 days a week, so,
Yeah.
I mean, then there's no more permanent. It's just,
Yeah.
I hate to tell you how many people were there when I started work there seasonally in 1970, so.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow, I mean, that's really a serious thing for this
Now,
community.
unfortunately, it's not
It's not just there.
all around the state.
Yeah, it's not just there.
But,
It's all over.
from our perspective here, I think it's a serious concern. I mean, there should be at least three maintainers full-time there, and a supervisor, and a bunch of other stuff, but.
Yeah, and because, I mean, it's just too big a facility and too valuable a facility down there to take that kind of a chance. But, all right, if we could take a look at that and see if there's anything that we could do on the local level, and then maybe if whatever you can find, run it by Emmett and see if there's something that we can do as a community here to take and help this situation.
I don't know if it'll help, but I got some connections with the tourism committee for the state that I can forward you.
Okay, sure.
Great. Anybody else have anything they would like to bring before the committee? Any thoughts? All right, let's take and see how we go, and maybe just let us know if the farm would like to be the business of the month. If not, we'll just change the order a little bit, that's all. All right, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second? Look at that. All those in favor? Aye? We got it.